last night I had the opportunity to go watch Yorgos Lanthimos' new film in theaters called Bugonia. Bugonia follows two conspiracy theorists, one main conspiracy theorist and his cousin, who have recently gone through a family tragedy and have decided to kidnap the CEO of a big pharma company, thinking that she is an alien. When I first read that description, before I had even seen the movie, I thought that that was gonna kind of a lame concept for a film. I thought, oh, we're just gonna go down this hole again about, critiquing isolated people, who are in a feedback loop on the internet, critiquing the internet itself, and all of those different things. And while it certainly talks about those things throughout the film and is in conversation with those different ideas, it went way further and way more interesting than I actually thought. And because of that, right after I saw the movie, I had no idea what to think about it. There's so much that happens in the last hour of the movie that when it finishes, it's almost impossible to even talk about it, to be able to even analyze it, because you're still processing, okay, this is what actually happened, here's what was actually going on the entire time, here's who is good, here's who is bad, and all of those different things. So I had no idea what to think of this film right after it finished, but now that I'm a day removed from watching it, I can quite confidently say that I liked it quite a bit. Now, before I jump into the specific things that I liked and disliked about this movie, I should say that this is actually my first movie that I've ever seen from Yorgos Lanthimos. He's a filmmaker that I have been kind of intimidated by my entire movie watching life. I've heard about his style, how stereotypically odd it was, how weird and disturbing and even perverse his movies usually get. And because of that, I kind of steered clear of his work up to this point. But in seeing the trailers for this, I thought, wow, this seems like a more accessible film from him, one that I probably won't regret seeing. So when it opened last night in theaters near me, I went to go see it, and it was pretty great. I must say, it was a very, very good movie. That I think I would recommend to a lot of different people. You obviously have to be in the right headspace in order to watch probably any movie from Yorgos Lanthimos, but this one is one that I think a lot of people are definitely going to have a good time with. And I think a large reason for that is its commercial accessibility. I mean, Emma Stone is absolutely fantastic in this film. It's a movie that I went into with the expectation that she would just be kind of there. I didn't think that she would have very much of a performance. I thought this was very much a Jesse Plemons movie rather than an Emma Stone movie, and boy, was I wrong. This is one of the best performances of her career pretty easily to me. It's very different than anything she's done before. It's something that's very up her alley, but you don't see from her a lot, and I really, really enjoyed that, and I thought that she did a fantastic job in this role. And Jesse Plemons is equally as good, if not for he's less focused on in the film. I think a little bit, he's given a little bit less to do, which is surprising, but he's great in the movie. And I think one of the main things that works a lot about this film is that it is very much an exploration of a lot of ideas rather than coming out and saying, this is bad or this is good. It's not interested in making judgments about certain themes or certain things that happen in our world today. That's what I went in expecting, is it to come out and say, here is, something that is bad, the internet, conspiracy theories, all of those different things. It didn't actually do that, which I appreciated. It comes at the story with a lot of empathy for both our main characters and for Emma Stone's character. She's actively being, held for ransom, basically being tortured, all of these different things, and you feel a genuine sense of empathy for her, obviously, but also a sense of empathy for our main characters who, have recently gone through a family tragedy, who clearly have a lot of bad things happening in their lives, and they're just desperately trying to find something that makes sense, that can justify all of the things and the suffering that they're going through. And that's something I really enjoyed about it. And I'm not going to spoil the movie here, but in the last hour, you're kind of pulled in a lot of different directions. That's something I really like. There's a lot of twists and turns. It's very intense. In fact, it's a lot more intense than a lot of the horror movies I've seen this October. It had my heart pounding. It's a great movie theater experience. My critique with the film would be that it feels a little bit too obvious in how it's trying to make you feel at some points. There's some points in the film where it's like, oh, I can tell what the filmmaker wants me to feel, and usually you don't want that to happen. You want to just feel it without feeling like the filmmaker is intentionally manipulating your emotions in a way. Whereas in this film, I think that they do a little bit too explicit of a job of trying to make you feel a certain way, and in order to set up the later twists and turns, which is great, but it is a little bit too obvious when it's trying to do that, and that's something that I think could have been done better for sure. I think that the runtime is very appropriate. I really think that it flies by, but some people might have an issue with the runtime. You definitely think the film is winding down at a certain point when it definitely isn't. And then it continues to go for quite a bit longer after that. The ending to this movie, a lot of people are probably going to be confused about or have an issue with, maybe. I thought it was pretty fantastic. There's a great needle drop at the end that just works perfectly with what the film is actually trying to do. So that I really appreciated. And I overall just thought that the movie was a really interesting experience that, like, if nothing else, provokes thought into a lot of these different issues. And at the very least, if you're not thinking about it, it's gonna make you jump. It's gonna make your jaw drop a couple of times. It's a very shocking film that a lot of things happen that aren't expected. And at the very least, it's a suspenseful, twisty, turny thriller of a movie. So for that, I would recommend it. Overall, I rate it an 8 out of 10 or a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's not the film this year that I've enjoyed the most. Just the other day, I watched Blue Moon by Richard Linklater. I rated that 7 out of 10, but I enjoyed that quite a bit more just from the fact that this movie, there's a lot of disturbing things that happen, kind of upsetting things, which you understand why they're there in the context of the story, but it's not the most enjoyable thing to watch. So overall, it's a fantastic film. I would recommend it to anybody who thinks that they can handle it. So yeah, Yorgos Lanthimos and Bugonia, 4 stars.